Welcome to the G3X Podcast. We're talking God Gym Grind Unfiltered. This is episode 28 of the podcast. Super excited. Today, our special guest is Lexi. Lexi, how are you? Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm doing awesome today. Definitely woke up a bit later. It's my day off, so it's been a good day so far.
It's always good to sleep in a little bit, get that rest. I know you've been working
Yeah,
a lot lately, so that's good that you got that little rest. That's awesome.
definitely.
For the audience listening to this, as I met Lexi, of course, through social media, Instagram, Threads, right? It's been a really good platform for finding out a lot of these podcast guests I've had, which has been cool and just building connections. But I saw her there through sharing her fitness page. She was looking to connect with other people in the fitness space, gym space, and just building a community. I saw her content. I'm like, heck yeah, this is super cool. I also decided to reach out to her like, hey, would you want to maybe one day be a guest on the podcast since you're also starting your page and everything? And she's like, absolutely. So here we are now. So I know she has an amazing story to tell, but I don't want to steal the thunder away from Lexi on that amazing story, which we'll be going over, of course, in today's episode. But Lexi, for the audience who isn't aware of you, give yourself a brief introduction, where you are, where you're from, what you do, and we take it from there.
Awesome. I'm Lexi. I'm 22 years old. I'll be 23 in November. I'm a mom. I have a stepdaughter, a 6-year-old stepdaughter, and a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old daughter as well from me. I started my fitness journey in 2021. It's been very rocky up and down. I got pregnant in 2022, the very end of 2022. I started at 240 pounds back in 2021 and then lost about 40 of that and then got pregnant and gained about 70 back. And then gave birth and have hopped right back on my fitness journey. And I've lost over 100 pounds and I'm still going. I'm from Saratoga Springs, Utah. Um, Born and raised, still here. And yeah,
There you go. There you go. No, and that's a powerful story. I love the whole obstacles that you face then but still got back on track. And I know a lot of people can get a lot of value from that. So then that's what really attracted me to your story when I was like, hey, you want to be a guest on the podcast? And you were telling me a little bit about your background. I'm like, wow, that's very impactful because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other women who maybe find themselves in a similar situation, gaining some weight post pregnancy. And there's that, like, I don't know the exact term, but I know sometimes there's like a slight, like, mental depression like sometimes some people
oh,
experience
yeah,
after birth or this and that, and so then getting back into fitness and whole aspects. So I was like, this is going to be a very powerful story to like share, and inspire others that hey, whatever they're going through, just like you overcame it, they can overcome it too. But let's say rewind a little bit back to 2021 when like looking at the information on the form you filled out. You mentioned that was like a very, like, let's say bad year, like a very horrible year for you mentally, and where you gained a lot of weight and so many other aspects that happened. But let me ask you, at that point in 2021, what would you say was that breaking point, that, let's say, rock bottom that really got you to the, you know what? I really need to actually change. Because let's be real, there's a lot of us maybe think about making a change but never do it. But in your case, you're like, you actually did it and, got started
yeah.
on that change, new decision, et cetera. So what was that breaking point for you that, helped you change your lifestyle?
Yeah, so 2021, yeah, it was a very, very hard year for me. That was the year I graduated high school. Um, I went through a tough breakup. Had lost a lot of friends through like them moving, going to college. I didn't go to college right off the bat. I had some family issues. We were kicked out of our house. I became unemployed that year as well. So yeah, I fell into a really, really low, deep depression where I didn't feel like I had anything going for me. And I pretty much spent 90% of my days in my room, laying in bed, contemplating my entire life and existence and what I was even here for. It was a really tough time. I met quite a few bad people through that time too, so that didn't help very much. A lot of bad influences, a lot of really toxic, nasty people who made just some rude comments a lot, really shoved my self-esteem lower than it already was. I think the turning point for me was like that year sucked, but it was such an opposite type of like think of the type of person I am, if that makes sense. Like
Okay.
growing up, I'd always been super active. I was an all-star cheerleader. My mom made us be outdoors my entire childhood. We didn't grow up on a TV or anything. We were outside all the time, going on hikes, being bad kids, exploring the neighborhood. So that year sucked mostly because I felt so out of like myself. I felt like I was so far from like who I was. And I think I'm the type of person who has very strong morals and core values. And it's really, really hard on me to stray from those. And I would say my breaking point was I just increasingly got to the point where I was like, I don't know who I am, but I miss who I am. And I don't know how to get back there, but I need to because I don't think I will survive if I don't. Uh, So I kind of just very slowly built up that self-awareness of where I was at and where I wanted to be. My younger sister, actually, as well, she was super into fitness and weightlifting at the time. And she had seen the depression that I was in. And she kind of was like, hey, how about you start coming to the gym with me? So I would say that little tiny opportunity, I kind of took it and ran with it. Um, and that's really what started to turn everything around. Yeah, it
Nice.
was really huge
There,
difference, just that tiny little offer of going to the gym.
oh, there you go. There you go. No, it's cool because, it's a little mixture of things. Like you said some self-awareness, right? Like actually accepting like, hey, there's something better out there. Let me find it. And that's always cool that you had someone reach out to you like, hey, kind of like how we say on social media, like the winter arc. And I know that in a
Yeah.
sense, but like just getting like that back into it, like, hey, let me start the gym and we like focus on something versus just, let's say, being sad all day. I can identify with that story because that was something similar to me, which got me into the gym, which eventually also then led me to G3X and everything. But that's a story for another day. Today we're talking about your story.
Yeah.
But no, that's super cool. It's very impactful. And so boom, you started there at the gym. So talk to me about that then. Like ultimately, I remember your form there when you started into the fitness, like you started around like 240 pounds, right? And so
Yeah.
what did those early days of like getting back into fitness look like for you physically, mentally? I'm guessing your sister kind of was your, like, say, kind of trainer initially, and then maybe you learned it yourself. Talk to me about that aspect.
Yeah, so I did start at 240 pounds. That was through 2021. I had, through that depression, gotten into the habit of just eating a lot. I definitely used food as like, I wouldn't say an escape, but just a stimulation, you know? I was looking for anything to have a little bit of pleasure in my life. And I guess food was kind of that for me. And so I did gain a lot of weight. And when my sister started taking me to the gym with her, she was like, okay, I'm up at 4 a.m. every day. Like, if you're not there, you're not there. But like, it's on you to show up. So
Right.
for the first time getting back into it, because like I said, I've been active my entire life. That was like the first period of my life where I wasn't active. And getting back into it, I had this expectation of like, oh, it's gonna be easy peasy, I'm gonna kill it. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna love it. Um, I went there and she's showing me the workouts. I think it was a leg day that we started with.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, I was pissed
Of
off
all
the entire
days.
time. I was so mad. I was so mean. She would like correct me on my form and I would like snap at her. I was like, I'm doing it fine. It hurt. My body hurt. It sucked. I could barely move myself around, especially with that expectation of me doing a lot better than I did. It was definitely kind of an eye opener because I was like, dang, I really let myself go. I really let myself get to this point. And when I started going to, it was not consistent. So it'd be like once or twice a week. And then I was like, hey, I don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. today. And I wouldn't go. And then I would get back into it. And then I wouldn't go again. And it took at least about 6 months for me to actually decide to go consistently. And so, yeah, it was quite the journey, just even getting myself in that first step of like just going.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that's many of us probably
Uh-huh.
have been through that. I would say even myself, where back in college, I would be going to the gym Before college, actually, what got me into the gym was a little bit my dad. He would be going to the gym, so I would go with him. I was super young back then, so like I was scared of all the machines, and like I was gonna like I'm gonna break my leg or something. So I would just stay on the treadmill, right? I was like 8, 9 years old, whatever. But then as I started getting older, then from there I started going with my uncle. So my uncle then started showing me some of the exercises, and so then that's what kind of like got me into the gym, but nothing crazy. It was just like very lightweight and everything. So eventually I graduated college, whatever. But for me, same thing. There were sometimes days that I'm like, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
Until like you said, eventually, the more you go about it, the more you like push yourself. It kind of eventually becomes like you said, kind of like a habit, like where if you don't go, you kind of miss it. You're like, hey, you know what? Let me
Yeah.
actually go to the gym, or you start developing that. Okay, I don't want to go, but you still go anyways. You got to get it done. So that was cool because I think that's the hard part, like getting that
Yeah.
habit done, and especially like, let's say waking up early or this and that, where it's like, I'll be honest, for me, as much as I love the gym, I suck if you're gonna tell me to go at 4, 5, 6 in the
Oh
morning.
yeah.
Like, no, like I'd rather go
Me
like
too, still.
9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or I could go like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. or I'll just go super late, like 11 p.m. till like 1 a.m. I'd rather do that than like wake up 4, 5 a.m. But again, that's the beautiful thing of fitness. Whatever it works for different people, different ways to do it, right? There's no like
Right.
one answer. As long as it works for you and you found something that works for you.
Yeah.
Now, let me say the following though. During that time, what would you say was one of like, say, like as you started like getting into, like you said, like kind of those 6 months to get like into that habit, what would you say was like your biggest, for lack of a better word to use, the biggest excuse you would tell yourself of not going, and let's say being able to overcome that? Because let's say some people will be like, oh, I don't have the time. And maybe that's fair. Maybe they
Yeah.
really don't have the time. What was like your reason of not wanting to go and overcoming that?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm the type of person where I really don't like to make excuses for myself. Like, I really like to just say it as it is. So I don't think I was necessarily making excuses when I wouldn't go. It was more so me just like not wanting to, honestly. I don't
Gotcha.
think I had any logical reason why I couldn't go. I just didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. sometimes.
That's
Which
fair.
is dumb because every time I did and every time I finished a workout, I felt great. I felt awesome. I had a way better day. Um, but yeah, it
That's so
really,
true.
I don't think I had any excuse. Even at the time, I think I was kind of kicking myself whenever I wouldn't go because I'm like, literally, what else am I gonna do at this moment?
All right.
Um, so yeah,
And it
it
makes you
was
feel like your
literally
day
just,
is longer, right? When you wake up
yeah,
early, it feels like your day lasts even longer. You get so much more
yeah.
done.
Yeah, because I remember we would finish around like 7 a.m. and I would be like, dang, it's only 7, you know? And like I have so much of the day left. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had no excuse. It was pure just laziness and not uh didn't have any like discipline at the time, you know?
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, okay. Now, talk to me about that in the sense that I know once you started your fitness journey over those course, let's say I remember, you fill in the blanks there. I think around February 2022 when you started, towards like November, you lost, I think, a certain like what, like 40 pounds or so forth.
Yeah.
So during that, and before getting into the other part of your story, let's say, okay, during that part, okay, those 40 pounds, was it just pure like, I just want to get more information that you're starting your fitness journey. What was that like? What was that process of losing those 40 pounds? Okay, yeah, going to the gym, etc. But anything else? How did you adjust? Let's say maybe anything of your diet. Was your sister
Yeah.
helping you in that aspect of diet? Were you getting into, let's say, any tracking yet or not yet there? Or kind of like talk to me a little bit about that exact process and any challenges you faced during that too. Because I
Yeah.
know some
So
people, sorry, not to, I know
oh, you're
some
good.
people sometimes will be like, they'll like starve themselves in a sense to like
Yeah.
lose weight, or maybe and sometimes, we don't know any better. And so we go that route, but then we learn better. Like, hey, there's better ways to do it. Just wanted to get a little bit of value from that.
Yeah. So for me, I think there was like in 2021, it was from like January to about August to September-ish that I really was in that depression. And then it was the very end of 2021 that I started that like cycle of being consistent but not consistent. I was really getting myself there. And during, what was it? November of 2021, I actually had found a great job. I found a nannying job. It's literally like in the neighborhood. My bosses, I still work there to this day. My bosses are amazing people. It was an amazing family. They such great people, and it gave me that kind of opportunity of like a routine.
Yeah.
I also had that breakup that I went through in 2021. I'd also gone back to that guy. And there was a lot of like kind of more stuff to look forward to, I guess, at the time. So, what really changed for me, I think, was the routine. And then it wasn't until February of 2022 that I started getting consistent. But I think the kicker was that same guy that I went back to, I then again broke up with right before then. And I was like, okay, I need to like move forward. I need to move on.
Gotcha.
I started therapy in February as well. I had a couple crazy things happen before then. So the therapy was for some other reasons, but that really changed my perspective on everything because I was really, really receptive to it. I was really just seeking something different. I just needed a change. So, yeah, I lost about those 40 pounds between, what was it? February until
August or
however long.
something. Yes.
It really was mostly just like I was employed, I had a great job. I felt like I just had a bit more of a purpose, and I was looking at different options of what I wanted to do with my life through therapy as well. So it was just a couple things that came into play that gave me that like push to actually be a better person. So yeah, that I with the diet portion, I honestly I've up until then I'd always been conscious of like what eating healthy was and like what eating unhealthy was. So I wasn't tracking or anything. I just was generally trying to choose better options and eat a little bit less. So I had no idea
Gotcha.
what I was actually eating, but it was generally healthier than what I was eating.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And just to show you how much food has an effect, like sometimes you wouldn't even have to track. I mean, it varies for everyone, but sometimes you don't even have to track, but just kind of like eating better and eating more
Yeah.
moderation, etc., can go a long way. I mean, you're living proof of that. So that's cool.
Hmm.
That's super cool. I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, okay, so let's say you're into that fitness groove, you're
Yeah.
losing your pounds, getting like yourself back more like on that focus path, with the job, not going back to like the prior person in the past, etc., from what you're telling me. And then there's that big news, right? You find yourself that,
Hmm.
let's say you're pregnant. So during that aspect, of course, I'm guessing during those 9 months, I would assume not really much gym. Was there any kind of gym that you would do, or not really? You like stopped it completely?
So I definitely, when I found out I was pregnant, I was still very adamant on like, okay, I'm gonna not be one of those girls that just gives up on it, you know? So for the first 3 to 4 months of my pregnancy, I still was going very consistently. I obviously had to moderate a lot of workouts. Like I didn't do hip thrusts
Makes
because I
sense.
was just too scared. Some girls
No, no,
do.
for
I was
sure.
just like, I'm not gonna risk that. I couldn't do like Bulgarians because for some reason it would pull on my stomach weird
Mhm.
and it just hurt. So it was definitely different. I definitely had to change some things up. But for those first couple months of my pregnancy, I was still very consistent. Um, I would say because I became pregnant in December of 2022 and I was due in August. So I had a summer pregnancy over the last couple months of my pregnancy, which you probably don't know because you've never been pregnant, but summer pregnancies in those last 3, 4 months suck. It's hot
Mm.
and you're swollen and you're bloated and you can barely get out of bed and everything bothers you and the color red makes you nauseous and just everything became so much harder
Oh,
for
wow.
the last like three half of my pregnancy. I was not consistent. I ate whatever I wanted. I did whatever I wanted. I practically just felt like I was just trying to survive at that point. I had definitely dealt with some pregnancy depression as well,
Mhm.
just with how hard the pregnancy was. I didn't have any complications or anything. It just, pregnancy really weighs on you mentally. I would say you really have to be a special type of person to not have it affect you. So yeah, I was consistent up until I wasn't. Um,
Gotcha. I mean, hey, that happens to any of us. We've all been in probably. I'm pretty sure many listening to this, maybe not exactly with the pregnancy, some 100% sure, but we all been in a situation where we're
yeah,
consistent. Something happened, we fell off. But then the beautiful thing about your story is that you didn't stay there like falling off. Eventually, you
yeah,
got back on. Like you said, okay, so you gave birth. I think you basically gained all the weight that you had lost back, etc.
yeah,
But then, of course, once you give birth, talk to me a little bit about that. So it's not me narrating your story. I'm just kind of
yeah.
going from the form. But okay, so you give birth. I know during that first few weeks or something, you lost a lot of weight because of like the baby weight, water weight, etc. And then kind of like got back on it. So talk to me a little bit about that story, that journey.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. I remember the first couple months of me being super consistent with the gym still and eating super or healthier. I had still gained about 20 pounds within my first like trimester, just purely from the pregnancy. And then throughout my pregnancy, I ended up gaining 70 pounds. So before I became pregnant, I got down to 200 pounds and then I was up to 270 pounds. That was the last time I was weighed right before I gave birth. I was 270 pounds. And then I gave birth, and within a week, 50 pounds of that shed off immediately, which was insane to me because that was literally all just baby and the organ and water weight. I was so
Wow,
swollen I couldn't even wear my slides. It
that's
was pretty
great.
crazy. You could like poke me and it would stay indented for a while.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so 50 pounds of that was off within the first week of giving birth. I remember looking at my legs and being like, oh my gosh, I look skinny. And then throughout my postpartum, those 2 months of waiting, I'd lost 50 pounds, so I was down to 220. And then I gained about 8 to 10 pounds after just recovering from birth.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then from there, talk to me when was there anything like in your mind going through that? Let's say, like, for example, how do I ask this? Like, in the sense of like I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, is like, damn, I worked myself all this and like, in a sense, like gain it all back. Was there the
Yes.
thoughts of like, I don't even plan to go back to the gym for what? Because now, now you have a baby to take care of. I don't have the time. Or like, what was that aspect mentally? Because in the end, you still went back to the gym. So, like, any type of doubts or like mental thoughts that maybe were almost prohibited you from getting back to your journey or that aspect, I just want to like see there. How was that for
Yeah.
you?
So, I definitely dealt with my fair share of postpartum depression as well. I gave birth and I had that big baby blues or little high after having a baby that first week. It was like I was on top of the world. But very, very quickly, my hormones just plummeted and I felt so like probably the worst depression I've ever felt in my life. I was just really down in the dumps. And it was kind of back to that like survival mindset where like I was so happy that I was a mom now. I was so happy my kid was there. I was so happy for everything. But my brain was so fogged at the time that everything just felt so out of place. I felt like I wasn't capable of being a mom just because it was so hard. I remember questioning a lot if I was actually able to do this. And so at that time, too, the gym definitely became a big question as well. I was questioning really my ability to do anything to even be a mom, to even be alive at the time. It was really, really rough for me to like get up in the mornings and have purpose for anything. And it was really, my brain felt really fogged like that for a good month. And then after a month, it started to kind of clear. And I remember kind of coming into the mindset of like almost desperation again, where I'm like, I cannot live like this. like I have to be better. So that desperation came with like the gym is the one thing that I can make sure that I don't give up on. Like all the other things in my life at the time felt very uncontrollable and like I didn't know what to do with it, but I knew that the gym before had really saved my mental health and I kind of was waiting to be cleared, like so I could get back to that again. So there was a little period where I definitely did not think I was capable of anything, let alone the gym. And then it kind of switched to like a desperation for the gym.
Gotcha. Oh wow, that's so cool. There you go.
Yeah.
And especially since you had experienced it before, like, hey, you know you could do
Yeah.
it. So it's like, hey, that's like your outlet because it was your outlet before and it worked in a good way. And so back to it. Okay. Now, out of curiosity, was there anyone like any during those mental things in your head, was there ever anyone around you, like someone like close family that you would have as support, or was it like really like you're like pure yourself, like just handling it yourself or anything of that sort? Just curious if you had any like support there or how you handle that
Yeah.
too.
So for me, my boyfriend, he is the most amazing person ever. He definitely was there through it all. I kind of went through a period where I shut him out. So he was there as much as he possibly could be, but it was more so me shutting him out that made it feel lonely. And then as far as other support system outside of that, I do live at home in my mom's house, and my little sister lives here as well. I love it. It's awesome. But at the time, my family, my mom and my sister were both going through some pretty crazy life stuff. So there was a lot of tension in our house, specifically with me and my sister and my mom. There was a lot of tension. They were there, but our relationship had been strained a little bit. So I feel like it was kind of everybody like tiptoeing around each other and still trying to like build our relationship back up from the family problems we'd been having.
I
So it did
gotcha.
feel a lot more lonely than I would have hoped it did. I remember being like, it should not be this lonely. Um, but that has definitely, fortunately, fixed itself. It's a lot different now. But at the time, yeah, it was a lot of just family drama. But my
I
boyfriend
getcha.
definitely was a very big rock in that time.
Nice. Okay, that's beautiful. No, yeah, and it's always good. As you know, like we like to say here at G3X, like the whole like God gym grind. So just hearing your
Yeah.
story, it's like, hey, we all have different problems,
Yeah.
family problems, relationship problems, mental problems. Like there's a bunch of stuff everyone is going through. But what I like about your story that kind of connects it with the brand is like, hey, you grinded through it. Yeah, of course it wasn't easy. Clearly, we've seen
Yeah.
all the things you've been going through. You're a true fighter for real. But hey, you're here now and you were able to overcome it. You pushed through. There were times, the God gym grind, as I like to say, it's not about like being perfect, like you're always pushing. I mean, like in your story, right? There were times that you're like, you know what, screw this. And that's fine. I've been in that same way, even building the business too, where it's like, you know what, is this actually gonna be worth it? Like, or am I just right? But even during those times of doubt, uncertainty, like, you have like you eventually have that sense of desperation where now let's get back to the gym. Or it's like, hey, fine,
Yeah.
it could be there could be times you throw in the towel for lack of a better way, but then eventually you get back on it. And that's what, like grinding through it ultimately really means is like, hey, even if you fall back down, like if you fall down, you don't stay down. It could take you 3 months to get back up, but the fact that you
Yeah.
got up is what actually matters. You know what I mean? And I think your
Yeah.
story is a beautiful testament to that, truly. Like, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Here you are now, you know what I mean? So let me actually, so that's cool. So, okay, gave birth, there was that little time frame where you were like doubting yourself, but then boom, back into the gym. And now fast forward, what I was, you mentioned your daughter was like 2 years old, so it's been like 2 years ago since then to now, right? So
Yeah.
from now, 2 years later, 2 year mom experience. So let's say, how would you say, based off of what you went through, have gone through now, what would you say were some of, let's say, maybe like what advice, like ultimately, would you give to like other postpartum women that maybe kind of feel, let's say, stuck in maybe
Yeah.
getting back into their fitness journey if they had one, or they just want to get started into their fitness journey because maybe of any weight they gained because of the pregnancy, etc. What's any advice you could give to those women out there, in a sense, wanting to reclaim their health, but maybe feel overwhelmed with everything they got going on, just giving birth or etc. etc.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I could say that really I struggled with, specifically with being postpartum, was seeing women online kind of branding how easy it is to bounce back. Because for me, I feel like I had an advantage with that where I had already been to the gym beforehand. I'd already gone through that kind of process of going through the learning curves where like you're doing your form wrong for so long and then you finally figure it out and you're like, oh,
Right.
I just wasted so much time doing it
I
wrong.
know that feeling.
Yeah, so I felt pretty blessed in the fact that I had already gone through kind of like the dumb mistakes that could be avoided if you know about them. So for me, it was a lot easier to get into it, but I hated the branding that like some women are really blessed and just lose it all and look the same 2 months later. For me, that was so far from the truth. Like, I personally have loose skin, I have stretch marks. I did not bounce back in any type of way. It took, I would say, at least 2 months for my stomach just to deflate back down. For some women, that goes down fairly quickly, but for me, that was just not my story. And I hated seeing online so many women be like, look at me 2 months postpartum, which
Mm.
is so awesome for them. But I think it definitely discourages a lot of women into
Like,
feeling like they're not normal because they don't look like that so quickly. So, especially women that hadn't been to the gym before pregnancy or while they were pregnant, I think it can be definitely harder to really get into it and to see the bigger picture when you have these things in your face all the time, showing you how easy it is. I think my best advice I can give is like, you are not going to bounce back, and that is totally fine. Like, if you do, awesome. But don't expect to have the exact same journey as somebody else.
mm,
Don't expect to look like somebody else. I would say really just take it slow, learn as much as you can learn, and love yourself as much as you possibly can through the process. It is always easier to love yourself and do something hard than to do something hard while you hate yourself. So I think focusing on the aspect of like really appreciating what your body went through and appreciating that it even can go through that and then eventually get back to a different place is really huge in being able to even just step foot in a gym. I think the mindset before the gym is huge, and then the gym will only add on top of that. So yeah, my best advice would really just to be love yourself beforehand. Don't hate yourself into changing yourself.
that's beautiful, and I'm glad how you mentioned that aspect of online because yeah, we're all in social media, we all seen different things, and we all know how social media can, in a sense, distort reality if you're not careful with it. And
Yeah.
I've seen some of those like accounts that they just pop up on my reel a few times where maybe it's like when they were pregnant and then after, and it was like whatever weeks or months. You're like, damn, that's crazy, But just like you said, hey, that's not everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's body is different, and I'm really glad you mentioned like, hey, yeah, be careful of who you're comparing yourself on social media, if it's even real. Because let's be real, there's so many
Yeah.
editing techniques that you can do that it might not even be actually real what you're seeing. And so I'm glad you said, like, in a sense, follow your own, your, like you said, love yourself, follow your own path, your own timing. Don't rush things. Just do
Yeah.
it at your own pace, and you'll get back on your on. Maybe take longer than what you wanted, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Better than rushing it, and then maybe you end up hurting yourself or something like that because you wanted to do it too quick than it should have been. So, and I'm glad you mentioned also on that online, because I think that connects with what I wanted to talk about now. For example, yourself, you're building I see yourself through social media, and then you're building a community. You're trying to, let's say, share your fitness journey, also, empower other women. So, what made you want to do that actually, right? I know that's a big leap for many people, like deciding to share their fitness journey on social, especially social, where we know we can get so many, especially in the fitness. Well, I'm in the fitness, but I can't speak about other industries, but especially fitness, where everyone has an opinion
Yeah.
about how a body should look, even if they have no backgrounds on anything. But so, what made you get started in that, like in the
Um,
content creation?
yeah, I think that for me, it really was just like, hey, if this person can do it, I guess so can I. I think also a big aspect of it for me is kind of just finding people that love it as much as I do, because I really did find myself through the gym in so many ways. I think that it is probably the top reason why I feel the way about myself I do now, why I have my outlook on my life that I do. Um, and I think for a long time, especially because I am a nanny, I work with kids all day. I love, love, love the kids, but I kind of miss that adult interaction, social
That's
aspect of
fair.
life quite often, especially with people that love the same things that I do. Especially also because for the longest time, I just barely switched gyms, but I have been going to a community gym in my neighborhood that is very small, very limited equipment. And I'm typically alone in there. If not, it's people that are just like older or younger that just like I don't personally connect with in like a social way, I guess. People don't take the gym as seriously as I do at that gym. It's more so just like
Mm.
the cute little elders in the community trying to walk on the treadmill. So, I was really kind of missing that social aspect of the community, the gym community. And I think my biggest thing that made me want to start posting is I was like, I want to talk about this with people who get it the way that I get it. And so that was my biggest reason. And then also just, yeah, like if other people can do it, why can't I? I don't necessarily intend to blow up or make millions off of social media, but the small community that I've been able to connect with through it has been literally exactly what I was searching for. Um, and it's also built some confidence for me as well, and like not being embarrassed of like not being perfect, I guess, like sometimes I take videos and I'm like, oh, I look so bad in that, or like my form doesn't look good, or I don't lift as much as other people, but like I kind of also just bite the bullet and I'm like, well, whatever, and I found some like great people through that. Like even when I thought I would seem embarrassing, I've only felt like mostly just love from it. So yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I think, and that's the beautiful side of social media. I mean, look at like us, for example, we connected because of social, saw your page and everything. And
Yeah.
for everyone who's been following the podcast, all these past episodes, basically every single guest I've had on it, I've never met them personally. Maybe one person, I think actually, no, I don't think I've met any of the guests I've had actually like
Yeah.
in person. They've all been through social media that I'm like, hey, yo, you have a cool page. I've been following you for a while. Let's hop on a
Yeah.
podcast. And they're like, bet, say less. You know what I mean? And I would say definitely that's the beautiful side, because 100% you can connect with people that, I mean, I've had two guests from the podcast that were from New Zealand. I've never
Oh,
been to
that's
New Zealand in
cool.
my life,
Yeah.
18-hour time difference, like sheesh, but hey, we got it happen. Have someone from the Philippines, someone from Canada, like, just to show you, like, hey, that's how beautiful social media can be when used the right way, right? You know what I mean? That you could just connect with so many people that maybe you never have the opportunity to travel to that country, right? Because hey, such is life. But you were able to connect with someone who is there and just make a connection, like, hey, that's cool, right? I think that's like super cool. And then, like,
Yeah.
like you said, sharing your journey and just connecting with other people, right? Because sometimes, like, it's funny how let's be real, like you were saying, at the gym, sometimes everyone's kind of like in their own world. And let's be
Yeah.
real, like a lot of us don't. Well, maybe some. You know, I speak for myself. I can't speak for others, but like I would say most of us, maybe most likely, probably don't want to talk as much. I know we have some yappers at the gym. I'm the one who like I can yap a little bit, but then it's like, all right, guys, let's all shut up and
Yeah.
let's just finish the damn workout because it's like we've
Right.
been talking for like 15 minutes. Like what the heck? But aside from that, yeah, I think that's like a beautiful aspect where you just can meet so many cool people, connect with others, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And no, truly, your story has been super inspiring. You know, like you said, from
Yeah.
the mental battles and thoughts you went through, family issues, financial issues, everything that, it's gaining weight, losing weight, gaining it back, but then
Yeah.
losing it back, hopping in the gym, it's like, hey, you've been through a lot, Lexi, and it's like, hey, I would say you're a really good testament of like that, what we talk about here, that God Gym Grind lifestyle. Honestly, I think your story is like super impactful, truly, like everything you've been through and accomplished and faced. I mean, everything you've been through that you face, mental battles, depressions, et cetera, lack of purpose, lack of identity, and then being able to find yourself through the gym. Okay, yeah, you got pregnant, you gained the weight back, but then you still got back on your grind, got back to the
Yeah.
gym, and then found yourself again. And now, look at you, you're looking great, great, creating an amazing community and moving forward, right? So I think that's like super beautiful. So I'm super glad to have had you as a guest on the podcast. Truly, your story is amazing. I know it could be super impactful to other women who have gone through pregnancy and
Yeah.
maybe going through some battles themselves in fitness or how they look or the speed of their recovery or transformation in a sense. Like you were saying, hey, everything takes time. Don't compare yourself to other socials. So I love it. As the
Yeah.
final question here, as we wrap up this podcast, for you personally, what would you say, like, let's say, like, what's next for you on like this journey that you're doing? Like, any other goals or personal challenges or dreams that you're chasing now?
Yeah. So I'll be going to school this year, starting next month for data analytics, mostly
Heck
just
yeah.
because I really want to move forward with a career that I love that will hopefully give me the chance to work from home so I can still be a stay-at-home mom, watch my daughter. And then once I graduate from that, I actually am going to be pursuing my lifelong dream of becoming a firefighter. So
Really? Okay,
yeah,
okay. That's
so
so
I'm
cool.
really excited about that. And the gym, especially, is going to play a huge role in that dream because the physical aspect of firefighting is actually insane. So for the next year, I'll be going to school, going to work, and then really pushing myself to a level I haven't pushed myself to before, with firefighting and preparing myself mentally and physically for that. I definitely have a long way to go, but that is the dream and the goal and the thing that I have been super excited about lately. So yeah,
I love it. That's epic. I'm super
yeah,
excited. You definitely better post that on your story as you
yeah,
as you start that journey because I'm super excited to see that. That's epic. That's epic. I wouldn't have guessed a
yeah,
firefighter at all. I would have guessed, I don't know what I would have guessed, but definitely not the firefighter. But that's epic. Heck
yeah,
yeah, make it
yeah.
happen. Why not? I love it. Heck yeah.
Right.
That's super dope.
My
Super
grandma
dope.
was a firefighter, and yeah, that's just always been my dream. So, I
Nice.
used
Yeah,
to
there you
doubt
go.
myself a lot on whether I could do that, and I played around with like being a paramedic, being a police officer, but I always doubted myself and never thought I would actually do it. But definitely the gym especially has got me to the mindset of like, why not?
Why
Why not
not?
try? Like even if I try
Heck
and fail,
yeah.
at least I tried, you know?
Exactly. No, and I'm a big Gary Vee fan. Like I love his content on
Yeah,
business,
I love
entrepreneur, and
Gary
that's
Vee.
one of the things he says. Like, who the hell cares? Like, what's the worst that
Yeah.
can happen? Like, you don't like it, okay, fine, go do something else. But at least, like you said, at
Mhm.
least you said you did it, and you don't have any regrets, right? Another guy
Yeah.
I'm a fan of is Alex Hermosi for his business and entrepreneurship, and that's one of the things he says. Like in your deathbed, you're not gonna like be sad about you're not gonna like think about all the things you accomplished. You're gonna be like sad about all the things you didn't get to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like so true in the sense that regret aspect. So I love it. We definitely wish you
Yeah.
the best, Lexi. You got this. I'm excited to see that
Yeah.
journey. Then, so
Thank
next
you.
thing you know,
Yeah, I'm excited.
she starts a firefighter account too. Her
That's what
fitness
I've been
page, her
thinking of,
firefighter
like
account.
good content too.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. But not, Lexi, it's been great having you on the podcast. If the audience wanted to find you, what platforms are you on? What social are you on, so they can give you a follow, see your journey?
Yeah, so my fitness account, definitely trying to work myself up on posting there more. But it would be Leva Lex Lifts, LUVA, that and on Threads. I would say that's where you're probably going to get the most of me. My personal
Beautiful.
account is more so just my family, so that's probably
Perfect.
not super exciting to everyone, but yeah,
There you go. All right, beautiful. And make sure you guys, that'll be in the description below. So check it out, give her a follow, support her journey, and build a stronger community because that's what Lexi's all about. So Lexi, thank you so much for being on the guest.
yeah,
Until the
thank
next
you.
episode, guys. And as like we like to say here at the G3X Podcast, God Gym Grind. Peace out, everyone. Have a good one.